Now, ideally, many people have labeled Drake as a culture vulture over the years. But why has that been the case? Is it because Drake is from a different country, that is Canada? Or is it because, quite notably, a lot of his early fan base was from a show called Degrassi when he was a teenager, getting money as a teenager? Is it because Drake doesn't write a lot of songs and it's being exposed that people are writing his songs? Is it due to the fact that Drake has made singing a bit more popular or a bit more accepted in the culture of hip-hop? Is it because he messes with young girls? Let's get into the nitty and gritty of the story. Why is everybody calling Drake a fake, and why is everybody turning against Drake, but yet they're calling him the snake? So ideally, what we see going on in hip-hop, or what went on in hip-hop, is everybody turned their back against Drake. Okay, everybody in the culture, right? You could see a lot of people, they had like photos with Drake in the early part of his career, but at the point where Kendrick ended his career and or it was boiling up, a lot of these people just turned on him, and they're just, I guess they don't rock with him because of like the way he is. Or maybe it's just because like before Drake, and when you mentioned Canada, this is probably the kind of rapper that would pop up. But after Drake's prominence, you would see rappers like these looking more like American rappers. Now, why would it matter if Drake was a rapper from Canada? Damn, I said Canada. So why would it matter? It mattered because Drake started his career mostly making songs singing. You know, even Lil Wayne had a little comment about this early on. He was like, keep it the way you're doing it now. Don't change it. Don't try to be gangster. Hey, don't change anything.
Don't start singing about killing nobody. Don't start singing about the streets.
Yeah, talk about what you know. Yeah.
Yeah, like...
Keep it Canadian, man.
Keep it...
See, but before we get into how Drake used to sing, we gotta speak a bit more about his discovery.
So I rap about what I rap about, and you know, so that was one of the main things I had to tell him from the jump.
See, as a teenager, Drake was getting a salary for being a part of a show called Degrassi. And oddly enough, when I used to have a satellite dish as a kid, I used to see Drake on there, but I didn't really know who he was. I didn't really pay much attention because it was more like I used to skip channels, and then I used to see the show, like the name at the bottom, you know. And Drake was a disabled kid in there called Jimmy. Now back to Drake, aka Jimmy. Now Jimmy on the show used to do scripted raps. That are raps that they would make you do on the show, where they would write the lyrics for you and you would rap it.
A homie is a player, and that is all. So why'd you have to go and kick his ball and chain? Ain't that your name? Cause you a player hater, and that's a shame. And chicks like you ain't worth.
Now, Drake has always been influenced by music, as his uncle and his father are both in the music industry, or were in the music industry, better yet. And there are even videos of Drake singing when he was like 9. So believe it or not, even though people are saying Drake is a culture vulture, Drake has been a big fan of hip-hop ever since he's been a little kid. And you can clearly see as he was rapping to If I Ruled the World by Nas and Lauryn Hill. And that was a classic hip-hop song, and he was doing that as a kid.
Jail bars ain't golden gates. Those who fake, they break. When they meet their 400-pound weight, if I rule the world, everyone would...
So, back to the show. While Drake was a part of this show, getting $40K year as a little kid, this was literally Drake's first introduction to ghostwriters. And you know, from his point of view, this is just a part of the job, or how everybody else does it, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna do it because I'm getting paid anyway, so let's do it. So at the same time, Drake would take to making more music at around the year of 2006, where he would start to see that he would garner a little fan base from mostly the audience from the show, or little people outside of the show that were fans of hip-hop, they would give him some attention and love. Drake started off by making his first project. His project was called Room for Improvement, and this project, Room for Improvement, was also a mixtape that he would release while also simultaneously being on the show Degrassi. The following year, that is 2007, he would release a mixtape called Comeback Season, where he would see a rise in fan base, and while still being on the show the next year, the show would come to an end and Drake will still pursue his music career, as music was genuinely in his genes, and it was not as if he wanted to just be a fake rapper or because he was envious of somebody around him that he saw that was doing it and he just wanted to do it just cause. Coming from a musical family and also being from Canada, Drake saw how he wanted to take his music career to the next level, but being that he was located in Canada, he saw that it would be at a disadvantage for him to stay there and really blow up to the magnitude that he would like to do. Drake was maturing at this point in his life, and he had a nonchalant attitude towards life, as he would mostly just pursue women and music and money and things of that fashion or nature, as he was undeterred, and he would make sure that no matter what, he was gonna achieve his goals and dreams, and nobody would stop him. Drake began noticing injustices in how some of his friends would get unfair treatment because of their race. Drake was also a big fan of like singers, and he was also a fan of people that would merge singing into their music, as he was a big fan of people like Pharrell, Michael Jackson, and the likes of Vybz Kartel. He figured he would keep a rap style while also keeping the melodic R&B style and merging both of them so he could make more of an R&B rap type sound, as he did so on his project So Far Gone. At the time Drake was coming out with music, this was not really done, as R&B and rap were separated and they were looked at in different light. So Drake was just ideally doing something taboo. But how is it taboo? It's taboo because as a rapper, you're supposed to represent the hardcore part of the culture of what's going on in your community. R&B is more about love songs, it's about romantic things. So merging the two, it's like merging polar opposite things to try to make one. After releasing these projects, I believe Drake caught wind of Jazz Prince, who is the son of music mogul and Mob Ties leader Jay Prince. And I believe Jazz Prince found Drake on MySpace or somewhere like that, and then immediately he knew that he had to try to help Drake because he was so in love with this type of music that he wanted it to be known to the world. After Jazz Prince tried to pitch Drake's music to Lil Wayne refused Drake's music as he was not really into that type of music. As I explained it a little earlier, why not? But then at one point, Jazz Prince, who was seemingly around Lil Wayne, or maybe much closer than the public knows, maybe because it seemed as if he was chauffeuring Lil Wayne around, and then he got the opportunity to play Drake's music, and then Lil Wayne asked, who was this guy right here? And then Jazz Prince told him, it's the guy I told you about earlier, it's Drake. And then he was like, it's dope. So I guess after that, Lil Wayne chose to listen to Drake a little more, and through that connection, Drake made a connection with Lil Wayne. Drake then garnered a feature with Lil Wayne and Trey Songz around this time that would be later released on his next project, and it was that year in 2009 that Drake would sign to Lil Wayne's record label, Young Money Records. Right before finalizing the paperwork, after he had meetings with the label, he re-released his song, Best I Ever Had, and then after he released that song, it started to climb and it started to even enter the charts around this time due to the buzz of him being affiliated or presumably about to sign with Lil Wayne. In the same year, 2009, the label had planned to release a song in July 16, but it was leaked as soon as January when it was recorded in the studio. What song am I referring to? A now famous song called Every Girl in the World. Around this time, the camp would start seeing leakers or leaks of music, and this was something that would be new to them, but being that so many artists signed to the label at one time, it was very hard to pinpoint where the leaks were coming from. And this would be the start of leaks for Young Money's label. But which one of these artists would leak such a song? It's like the label had a plan to drop the song in June so that they could monetize the song and get as much money as possible. But it seemed as if one of the artists could not contain the fact that they were on a song with so many stars, especially Lil Wayne at the time, and they just decided, I gotta leak this song because I need to get some notoriety or something. Because most oddly enough, around this time, I was very in tune to Lil Wayne's music, especially when he dropped Lollipop. And oddly enough, I heard this song too. And I don't know, I feel like something's up with that. This was just a recap of the earlier parts of Drake's life and what led up to these things. But to further elaborate on the entirety of the beef, we are gonna make a full video explaining everything. Because in this year of 2009, in that said month of June, when the label still released the song as they officially planned, they went on tour the following month. They went on a tour called America's Most Wanted Tour. And then boy, oh boy, here comes the boogeyman, Kung Fu Kitty. As early as 2009.
Now she listening to KDOT, man, my girl split the bucket to KFC. She listening to Drake, and all I can say, damn, these niggas that much better than me.
Thank you so much. So you're considered one of the greatest hip-hop artists ever.